Hey everyone, welcome back to the Wrestling IQ webinar series through our Wrestling IQ Academy. This is our third webinar in the series, and our goal today is to cover how to easily use your existing Wrestling IQ software to create camps, pop-up camps, do all of your registrations, attendance, and billing for your summer camps, as well as we'll conclude with how to pull reports on your camp's revenue so you can more easily track your profit and loss for each individual camp. So far, I've personally billed about 60 to 80, I think probably at $80,000 now through Wrestling IQ for my camp system, through my academy. I have a friend who's billed over $100,000 through Wrestling IQ for his camps. And that's only in 2 years of using the software. So it's super seamless in operation as far as attendance, et cetera. And so I think we're going to start with how to set up a camp registration, and I'll hand it over to Matt for that.
Thank you, Jeff. Let's get into the weeds of it. So, creating camp registration. This is where I'm going to show you how to pull the levers and actually create it in Wrestling IQ. So if you are familiar with Wrestling IQ, this should look pretty familiar to you. I'll show you some advanced tips. And if you're new, this would be a great look into the software as well. So to start off, when you're in Wrestling IQ as an admin, there's a payments dashboard here. If you head over to registrations, this is where camps will be run from. And for this one, we're going to create a camp from scratch. So I'm going to create a session over here. And I'm going to name it Turkey Summer Camp. I'm going to do a demo of 2 weeks of camps, and we're going to split the weeks up into separate registrations so you can see how to effectively use Wrestling IQ automations. I know Jeff does this with some of his bigger camps where there's split weeks, so you don't want to send the same message or the same information to both groups. So that's what we're going to demonstrate here. If you've only got 1 week, you only need 1 week, and that's easier. Let's say what are dates. Let's do a June 5th to 9th. And it's a good practice to put the name of the date in the name up here too, as parents will see this when they're selecting their registration. I am going to select one-time session here for camps. This is so that with camps, it's somewhat of a guest checkout experience. So if you're the parent registering, if you're already part of the club, it's going to skip a bunch of stuff, pre-fill a bunch of information. It'll be quicker. If you're not part of the team, I should say, not camp, it'll give you a guest checkout. They don't have to set up a password as much, but it's still very seamless and quick for them to get through. Let's do one payment option. $30.
Would we actually be able to do 2 payment options just to show them how that can function here as well? So you can have both an upfront option, and then you can obviously have a subscription option as well. Multiple payments.
Yeah, let's do a demo of installments. This might be a situation where you're like taking a deposit early, but then you don't charge until the week before. So in this case, I would set my first installment to today so that the parents registering have to pay this amount right then, no matter when they're registering, now or in the future. And we'll do a second installment on let's do the Friday before camp starts. So you know whether their payments are succeeded or failed, and you're all good. Even if someone signs up in June 5th, if they're past the second installment date, they'll have to pay for both installments at once. So effectively, you don't have to manage this after it's out there either.
Want to talk briefly about sibling discount there too?
Yeah, sure. So sibling discounts, pretty easy. You can add a discount. You just type in your number, whatever your percentage is to each one. With installments, the only tricky thing to remember is that installments apply the sibling discount to each payment. So you effectively do, in this case, I do half of my sibling discount for each one so that they get 25 off each payment they do to total $50 sibling discount. Other things here, registration is open. If you have a capacity limit, you can turn this on to close it at 50, 100 wrestlers, whatever you're at. Roster, make sure this is checked. And welcome email, highly recommend you include things like where it's at, what time it is.
Do you want to jump over? I can share that real quick on my Vermont camp.
Yeah, let's do that.
So what I've found is the welcome email to eliminate almost 100% of post-registration questions. And that's through maybe 5 or 6 years of best practice with this. And only the last 2, as I said, with Wrestling IQ. So when you go to my Vermont camp registration, I have linked to our parent handbook, which answers all of our FAQ. I send this as well in a follow-up email. It's got our packing list, our itinerary, right? And I'm happy to share this as a resource. Just email me directly, jeff@wrestlingiq.com, and I can show you that link down. Try and get in it real quick. Matt, how do I get to that link?
If you, there you go. Nice.
Again, so this is really my welcome email is relatively short because I'm directing them to this camp overview, camp dates, lodging, safety, meals, backing list, drop off, pick up information. If they're sick, right? Again, it's all the FAQ questions you get. We're outdoors, so ticks, and then direct contact information for emergencies, what to bring, a checklist, and then a sample itinerary. This is 95% of the questions you're going to get from a parent. And so this just automates your follow-up process. And again, it's part of Welcome to Vermont Camp. Congratulations. As camp gets closer, we're going to email a medical form for recent medical information. There's a window that we have to do that within for state law. And so then just basic travel planning information, and then contact me at the business line for questions. Again, you can do a lot with your automated registration emails.
Thanks, Chef. That was great. That's a lot of information in that packet.
Yeah. Years of adding things to eliminate questions.
All right. So I'm going to leave that blank for this one, but do fill that out on your end. The other thing I will say as an advanced tip here is these properties for camps are customizable. So this will inherit from whatever you set up in Wrestling IQ as your standard questionnaire from your normal team membership or registrations. But you can certainly remove some things. So in this case, maybe I don't care about an address. I want a survey. I can add specific new questions for the camp if I want. But in general, you want to take away probably more so than add to it for camps.
However, the one use case where you might add information is my intention is to go into our private properties for our Vermont camp registration and to add the medical questions that I need to get. And then I'll push that to the parents after July 1 so that they can update that information, and then we'll have it. So that is a situation where in the future, I'm going to add questions because I got to get that medical information before they step on campus.
That makes a lot of sense. And you could even, if you needed that information, you might even set up a $0 camp. Is that what you're going to do? Called medical. And then you send them that link. Perfect.
Haven't fully solved it yet. We can talk through that more.
Jesus. Gear sizes is a good one. I see a lot of people for camps. If you're giving away a free t-shirt, just add a drop down of all the sizes you have. So you have an accurate count going in. Pretty quick for parents to fill that out. So we've got week 1 camp here. I'm going to go ahead and shortcut us to week 2 by replicating this camp. So this button here will pre-fill a bunch of stuff for you based on what you've already filled out. So in this case, we just need to update a few bits of information rather than needing to do that whole process over again. Change this installment date to that. We're good. If we had a welcome email, it would copy that over as well and go there. All right. Next, we have, step 1, we've created the camp registration. At this point, the registrations are live. I'm going to talk through some things you might want before then, but you can promote this. We'll get to that in slide 3. I'm stepping ahead. Review and understand WrestlingIQ automations. So with camps, you will now see if we're on the Wrestlers tab, we have too many. register. Oh, it's up here at the very top. So these rosters, if I click it, will preload the wrestlers down here, same here. This will automatically stay in sync. As soon as they're paid, that guest wrestler is going to be added. So you've got a very quick way to see here who's on that list. We also have messaging. So when someone registers, they're going to be added to the appropriate group automatically. You can message them any sort of stuff you need to beforehand. Make sure you sign that medical form. Here's the directions that you forgot. Anything leading up to or after the camp, this is a great spot to communicate.
Another best practice for your registration email is the parents getting started help page link that says how to get started as a parent on Wrestling IQ, the iOS app, how to use calendar messaging. Matt, can I jump in real quick on messaging?
Yeah.
So one way to use messaging effectively for your camps as well is we'll take pictures at camp and we'll send out a Google Doc with all of the images that we've taken at camp, and then the parents can download them selectively. So obviously in our waiver, we have a media release to be able to do that, but then the parents have the pictures, they can post them to their social media. We don't do a lot of social media ourselves, but then parents can share and tag us and other families see the positive experience that the kids are having and want to go to more camp. And so I do daily updates. So I'm just going to pull up my Vermont camp messaging group from last year. I was a little less active than I intended to be. I was very active in the beginning as things go, but Matt, keep moving through if you want. I know. Oh, here we go. Okay. I'll do a share. I found it. Okay. So again, just hi Vermont Adventure Camp parents want to start this group message, keeping you updated. Yesterday we got lost. Our phone got waterlogged. Talk about our skills assessment. It's just a summary of the day, right? And then we link to a Google Drive with the folders of the images so that parents can see what the kids did that day. And so overall, parents absolutely love this, right? Just a way to keep them updated about what we did, activities, and it's a little more personal and private than just posting it to social media.
Perfect. Thank you, Jeff. So last step here before we move on to the promotion step is to add it to your WrestlingIQ calendar, particularly if you're using the public calendar in WrestlingIQ and linking to it on your website. It's a great idea to add it here. Put in your times for the camp so people quickly know. I'm going to repeat this for that particular week. I'm also going to link this to the appropriate camp. Tag the session to the camp. Fill out the location. There should be a Google Maps link. You can add any notes here as well. That's going to show up on the calendar. And now, once we get into the promotion step, we've got a few things to do. So when you go to WrestlingIQ under your team settings, you have this URL. This is going to show anything you have open automatically. So a lot of times teams will always promote this link or always have this link to their website so that when we pull it up, you'll see that you now have your summer camp links here. This team has some memberships and some seasonal things here too. But in general, your parents will now be able to click the appropriate link to sign up for the camp. Similarly, if you are using the WrestlingIQ's public schedule, if someone is viewing the schedule and clicks the link here, this is the registration link for the camp because we linked it to that session. So those are the spots to use to make sure you're promoting your registration is on the schedule and on this page and however else you're doing it, social media, sending it to old registrants, however you promote it, these are the right links. if you needed to, so specific links, one thing I'll note here, if you needed to send someone, they're really confused or whatever, you can send them this link directly and that will pop them into that specific registration already. So that's there if you need it.
Typically what I'll do with that direct registration link from a best practice perspective is I'll message it to my active members list. And so they go straight to that camp, whether it's a President's Day camp, MLK camp, spring break camp, or summer camp. That way I get a quick registration. I know that 80% of my registration is going to fill up with those members.
Smart. Yeah, best source for camp people is your already existing members. Makes sense. Finally, so taking attendance at your camp, which is a great thing you should do to know year over year how you're doing in terms of camp attendance. There's two ways. One, on the calendar, if you are logged in as a coach and you tap on one of these events, notice that this roster was linked here. So when someone is signed up, their names are going to show up on a list here. And if they're not on this list, they make something's wrong. They haven't paid, their payment failed, whatever. I'm going to take this off so you can see what this looks like. But once you have your list, you'll be very easy to just quickly check people in as they walk up to your front desk, check-in counter, whatever. You're also welcome to use the WrestlingIQ kiosk. I'll link to that in the notes here on the blog post, but probably won't show that here. That's helpful also if you have a volunteer, you can get them set up with the kiosk without them needing a full-blown coach login for attendance. That'd be the situation to use that.
Remember as well, you've got your practice planner there too. So for me, that has some other people coaching camps that aren't me, but I prescribe the sessions for the camps, right? I can put together the practice plan. So now my assistant coaches can just run the camp off of that plan.
Absolutely. Finally, financial reporting. So a few things to note. There's this payments dashboard, which is basically just a feed of your payments. So if you're checking day to day, you'll be able to see them as they come in here. There's also several reports in here specifically for camps. You are going to want to pull registration Q&A for pulling down that information that they sent in for during sign up. That could be useful to have on hand on paper for medical information and whenever you've got on site. So run that before you get there. And your paid session accounting report can be useful for that as well.
We want to look at one of mine real quick so we have real data.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, we've got about 1 minute left in our webinar, so I want to make sure we touch on this quick. Trying to keep this webinar to a certain length of time for everyone. So I will go down to reports, and I'm not the best at pulling reports, so this is real-time learning with Matt teaching. So I want to go down to registration reports, correct, Matt?
Yeah, I'd pull the paid session accounting.
Yeah, let's look at camp from last year. Okay. Now I can get this information over to my accountant who has all my expense side, and she can give me a real P&L for this camp, right? And so this gives me all the data I need as far as registration. I can export this, download it as a CSV file. She can upload it, shows me the scholarship that I've given. So then I can do fundraising around my scholarship total and get those scholarships properly funded. And overall just gives me a good idea of the financial health of the camp. Super easy to do.
All right. Any other last words of wisdom, Jeff, before we?
No, I think one thing that I'd like to leave everybody with, I see a lot. I'm very fortunate. I'm a full-time coach, right? And part-time at WrestlingIQ. And I have the flexibility to do camps. There's huge demand for holiday camps when kids are out of school. I see Mike Kolzicki, the Wrestling Factory Cleveland, doing this very, very well, right? But I'm able to generate 30 to 40% of my annual revenue through camps. Right. That's a significant increase. It makes it viable as a business. I already have the facility. And so it's not any additional cost for facility for the most part, unless you're booking mat time somewhere. But, just a great opportunity for the private clubs and the town programs as well, and the nonprofit clubs to, one, generate more revenue, and two, more importantly, get the kids on the map where they're consistently building progress, right? Camp's the best place to get better. So glad that Matt has created software that makes it super easy to manage my camps.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. And we'll be back again soon, I expect, with more webinars.
All right. And that we're out. The Wrestling IQ Academy.